Hey, welcome. This is Jeff Heggie of the Jeff Heggie Show. I'm excited today to have Robert Parker with me. Now, Robert and I, we connected online and started a short conversation all around the idea of mindset. And I told him a little bit about what I was doing with my entrepreneurs and athletes and stuff. And he was talking about what he was doing. And I thought this is a great way to connect. And I want to hear some of the things Robert's talking about. And we briefly started talking about things before we started recording, and I know it's going to be awesome. And so he's from Twin Raven Hypnotherapy and Research, LLC. So Robert, welcome. Give us a little bit of an introduction of yourself, and then we're going to get into this because I'm excited to hear some of your thoughts on this.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, my name is J. Robert Parker. I am a union certified master hypnotist with the Hypnotherapists Union Local 472. And I own Twin Ravens Hypnotherapy and Research LLC. We're currently in the process of going through all the governmental red tape needed to be a research organization. I think, actually, I'm technically registered as one, but there's red tape. Anyway, but that's who I am. I am a hypnotherapist, and it's kind of, I jokingly say to my partner that I've kind of become an insect that only knows hypnosis, because it's this lens that I've come to view everything from. And we were speaking briefly about this concept of the reticular activating system, and I was relating that to my own life and kind of to catch everyone up. I'm Oh my God, I'm almost 40. But I spent the better part of my life very angry, very negative, and not really understanding why and nothing ever got better. And I come to learn in the process of becoming a hypnotherapist, which I was educated at HMI College of Hypnotherapy from their 720-hour clinical hypnosis program. And there's this, as I said, this particular activating system has different functions. And one of the functions is sleep. It's thus to trance. It's that gateway. It's the thing that controls that transition. But one of the other things it serves to do is it is your mind's goal setting device. And what this does is it filters people, places, things, whatever have you, to meet your goals, to meet your understanding of the world, which can also be spoken of as your homeostasis, which you assume your own world consists of. Homeostasis is basically a really fancy word for normal. And I came to realize that everything was bad because I thought everything was bad. And so my mind was literally only allowing me to see the bad. And we talk about mindset, and that's the ultimate mindset. Literally, what your reticular activating system, which this isn't a theoretical thing. I have this somewhere. I thought I did. Oh, wait. Here we go. It's this. It is an actual physical part of your brain. And this controls what we see, literally. And so, like, say, for example, if you've dealt with somebody with depression, it doesn't matter what they have, how much love they have, how much wealth, how much security, how much whatever it is they need. They don't see it. They only see the bad. And you can't do anything to show them otherwise, because it is literally a physical part of their brain that is filtering what they can and can't see. And kind of where I come in is you can change your homeostasis. You can program your reticular activating system. You can do all manner of things with your subconscious. And one of the things that I like to stress in any interview that I do is hypnosis is not metaphysical. Hypnosis is not theoretical. This isn't new age. This is science. This is something that I can provide hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of peer-reviewed research to support its uses in so many things. And it's it's something that we all have in us. This is a natural process. um you're in hypnosis at minimum twice a day, and it's 30 minutes before you go to bed and 30 minutes after you wake up. Hypnosis is not sleep, but it could be considered the gateway to and from sleep. And it is a different wave pattern. Like, I can hook you up to a few machines and show you what hypnosis looks like. It can be defined as the theta brainwave pattern. And theta's an interesting one. So our brain is divided into different wavelengths. For example, alpha is relaxation, beta is attentiveness, gamma is information processing, delta is sleep. Well, we also have theta, and theta is a bit harder to define. It's encountered in some strange places. It's encountered in trance, in meditation, in deep prayer, and its function is difficult to say. Except for hypnotherapists, we kind of feel like we know what it's for. It's your learning state. It's your programming state. It could be considered, if you know computers, it's like your root shell. It's what's at the very, very base of all of your coding. And it can be changed. It can be altered. And that's both for the positive and the negative. Hypnosis is a part of everyday life. It is, I've I've even engaged in the conversation of all consciousness is varying forms of trance. And it's because hypnosis isn't an on-off thing. It's not like a switch. It's there's depths, there's levels, and each of these things has different features. Again, I have all manner of fancy little things, but there, it's the Aaron's depth scale.
Let me just, for those that are listening to this on the podcast format, you might want to come to the YouTube format just to be able to see what I'm doing on the screen share.
To illustrate what I'm showing right now is, if someone wants to look it up, because this is kind of a low resolution image. It's something called the Aaron's depth scale, ARONS. And what this basically does, that I'm showing you, is this describes the 6 levels and 2 phases of trance. And this, for those of you listening, this is divided into 6 categories, or 6 levels with 2 categories. And the first 3 levels are basically what would be considered light trance. And these are where you are fully aware of everything being said. You can remember everything that was said and done. And there's various interesting things that can be done in these levels. Like, you can cause a lot of change and a lot of very positive behavior from these levels. Now, these other 3, those are what's called somnambulistic or amnesiac trance. And that is the deeper levels of trance. That's where you start encountering where you can't recall everything that was said. That's actually kind of how you measure the depths of those levels of trance, is how much do you recall. And the things that are done in somnambulistic trance are substantial. That is where you can begin to remove pain. That is where you can put in some deep hypnotic triggers. You talk about how you work with athletes. There are hypnotic anchors that are put in place with athletes for focus, for a second wind, for different mindsets. Um, and when I talk about anchors, it's the easiest way to describe an anchor is in an unfortunate pop culture reference. The whole "when I snap my fingers, you'll cluck like a chicken." That's not real, first of all, but that's an example of an anchor, of a post hypnotic suggestion. And with anyone really, not just athletes, because the athlete mindset, when we're talking mindset, exists in so many places that a lot of people wouldn't think about. um I create these anchors to these states. For example, an athlete wants to start a competition with an intense focus and clarity of mind. So in hypnosis, I take them to that intense focus and clarity of mind and anchor it to a word, a phrase, a smell. I'm a big fan of using smells for anchors, because another great example of one everyone has, because we all have a smell that takes us back to childhood, that takes us back to a clear moment in our past. And that's just an anchor. That's just a post hypnotic suggestion. Because, as I said, everything, all of our life is this system of suggestibility, of trance, different levels of it. And you've been gathering anchors and associations your whole life. Um, People want to use that word, "oh, I'm triggered." Well, as much as overused as I feel it is, there is a significance to it, because that is referred to in my job as a trigger. Because if you have a negative association with something and it's intense enough, and you encounter something that creates that association, yes, it causes a lot of negative behavior. And I've just been running my mouth and haven't even let you ask any questions. You have to forgive me. I get a little
No, that's
ranty.
fine. No, this is good. And especially for those that are either in my High Achievers Mindset Secret program or my Confident Athlete program, we talk about this a lot, about using the keywords. And just recently I've been talking with a few people about using smells because of some work that I read of Jim Quick's, and all these different things. And so this is perfect. This is what you're talking about. And I love how there's so much that I talk about with the reticular activating system with people, and being able to say, okay, here, we're backing it up scientifically here. So this is how it works. So yeah, please continue. And I do have some questions, but I want you to continue where you're flowing with this.
I mean, it's if you just let me keep going, I'm going to keep going for hours. Like, I can sit there I get paid to talk. So I'm going to fill time. So if you have any questions at all, if there's anything you feel like your audience would like to know,
okay,
absolutely,
absolutely.
ask.
So when we talk about the reticular activating system, I mean, the sample I always use with when I'm explaining it to people is when we moved from Canada to Arizona, my daughter blew up her car on the way down. And so when we got down here, had to buy her a new car, bought her this little Mitsubishi Spider convertible, and I'd never seen this car before. And we buy this car for her, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing this everywhere.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden it's something important to me. My RAS is filtering this out that it is something. So I teach my clients some ways how to take advantage of your RAS to help you in achieving goals and stuff. And I know through hypnotherapy, there's going to be strategies and different things that you do that way. But someone that's just on their own, how does someone really take advantage of this tool they've been given?
Focus. Look at this is a weird example, but look at what kids do. Look at whenever they have something that they like, that they love, that they want. What does a kid do? They draw it, they talk about it, they immerse themselves in it. And oftentimes
put it in the shopping cart in Amazon.
exactly. Basically, yeah.
Right now,
And
all I'm hearing about is this one certain lightsaber that my boy wants.
and it's they kids don't know they can't. Kids only know what seems to work, and they know that if they focus on something, it works. And we so much of the tools that we've lost come from childhood. I do a lot of work with this concept of the inner child. And full disclosure, this is a concept I kind of like mocked a little bit in my training. Like, that sounds utterly ridiculous, and I am never going to use it, because it's this concept of a mental representation of your inner child. And of course, it eventually came to be that I was working with a client, and the only place we could possibly go with their session was this inner child work. And it was one of the most profound things I've ever done. And it's this idea that we exist within different phases of development, and our primary stage of development comes from about age 0 to 8, and that is our core. That is who we are. So with that thought in the middle of all of us, at the core center, is an 8-year-old child. And if you really stop and think about it, when you think about a visceral reaction, when you react to something without thinking, think back to how you would have reacted to that as a small child, and it's pretty much the same. And I've kind of come to realize that as much as we want to be fancy and adult and grown, we in us all exists this bit of psychology, this remnant of who we were as children. And oftentimes when we talk about fears and limitations and things like that, they exist there. They exist in that first period of learning. And how do you address that? If something has been known since childhood, how do you begin to address that? Well, what we do is we create, you can call many things, mental representation and anthropomorphization of this child. And you allow them to speak to it, to interact with it, because this part of us always does exist. Because in your memory, you can return to a memory, and your thoughts are still the same as they were in that moment. It's the reason that trauma is a thing, because we always hold on to our traumatic memories from a place of trauma. And what that means is, let's say, speaking of things that happen during our childhood, say you're 7 years old and you get bit by a dog, and now you're afraid of dogs. And you're 30 now, and you know dogs aren't evil. You know that not all dogs are going to kill you, but you're still afraid of dogs. Why? Because there is this idea that when we experience something, we remain there. So even though you're 30, even though you know that not all dogs are evil and will kill you, your memory still exists as a 7-year-old with all of the emotional intelligence and all of the fear of the moment. And it doesn't matter what age it occurs. If it happens that young, of course, it's going to be more of a deep-seated part of your personality. But all trauma is like this. All painful memories, all good memories, like everything exists in kind of a suspended time in your mind. And this idea of trauma existing, only within this time. Again, we have to ask, how do you address that? And it's by addressing the associations, by addressing what you choose to focus on about the situation, because any traumatic memory is just a what your subconscious views is important to protect you. And that's really any limitation, is your subconscious trying to protect you. And it's I always stress to my clients, because they want to people want to think that your mind is your own worst enemy, and it's really not. Your conscious mind is, because all your conscious mind does is deal with things like logic and reason and willpower, and it doubts itself. It's trying to perform this equation at all times to match up reality, and that's not how your subconscious works. Your subconscious works with signs, symbols, emotions, feelings, memories. It's why our dreams get so strange sometimes. Like in the dreams that are your subconscious trying to figure out problems, it's often difficult to understand, because your subconscious doesn't really know language. That's a function of the higher mind. And so it tries to work out these problems using symbols, using metaphor. Like, and dream interpretations a pretty large part of what I do, because, and it's not all dreams. I don't want people to think that all of their dreams are significant, because sometimes it is just playing racquetball with a lobster and it doesn't mean anything else. Um, but the dreams that do matter are the dreams that you have at the end of the night, that you wake up from. Those are called venting dreams. And those are your subconscious attempting to reason things out. And I don't use like this whole concept of like a dream dictionary, is throw that out the door. That's just dumb, because why would something so subjective as human experience have a universal book of symbols? Why do you think a snake in someone's dream is going to mean the same thing to someone who's afraid of snakes versus someone who works with snakes or keeps them as pets?
Right.
And that's just a basic example of the variability of symbology. But what I do is I have my client write down their dream, and we go through and we examine it, and we find what these associations mean, what your subconscious is trying to tell you in that. And it's always an interesting little puzzle. It's kind of like a game. I love dream interpretation, because you get this message from someone's subconscious, and you have to figure out what that means logically. And it's a totally illogical system that you're trying to interpret. And it's very effective, because your subconscious, it just is. It doesn't lie, it doesn't mislead. It's anything that it is doing is for your good. And that's a lot of my work, is convincing the subconscious what is beneficial to you. And uh sometimes that comes in the form of reducing pain signals. Sometimes that comes in the form of lowering anxieties, because anxiety is simply your mind trying to protect you. And sometimes that comes in the form of showing your mind what you would like to focus on. And it's it's like I've said, it's all in your head. Everything that you'll ever be, everything that you are, is only in your head. That's the only place you will ever exist. And there's not a lot of acknowledgement of that. And I'm not just talking about mental health, though that is a very important topic. I'm talking about this concept of the subconscious, of knowing what the trance states are and what their uses are. And that's why it's important for me to do these interviews, because what I do, it has a lot of misconceptions around it. You say hypnosis and people automatically think that.
Right.
And as a pocket watch for the people listening, no, I don't use it. I just like pocket watches. And all of these misconceptions are just wildly false. Like this concept of hypnosis as mind control. Hypnosis is not mind control. It's the exact opposite. It's getting control over your own mind, over your own thoughts. And a good example of this that I always like to tell people, because they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, okay, well, what's a food you don't like?
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower? Like it. Make yourself like it. Consciously make yourself like cauliflower. Can you? Are you done yet? No?
No.
Okay. That's because of an interesting fact that the conscious mind cannot affect change upon the subconscious. It's why we can know something, but we still feel a certain way about it. We feel differently. And this is what if you could choose to like cauliflower? What if it would be beneficial to you to like this? Well, what do you do at that point if you cannot consciously will yourself to like this thing? What is taste preference but another association? So, and there's other things with it that's actually physiological, but you can trick someone into thinking something tastes good. You can change that association. You could do the opposite of that. During my smoking cessation sessions, that's one of the only times that I will use negative reinforcement. I will begin to have them. I've got a wacky way that I do stop smoking that works really well, and that I'll have them bring some cigarettes into session, and I will have you smoke during hypnosis, and I will have you hyper focus on the chemicals of that cigarette and the taste of the heat of the smoke, of the flavors that it leaves in your throat. That's all you're able to notice at that point. And so cigarettes just taste like chemical death at this point, that it's no longer the pleasant aspects of the flavor that you're focusing on. It's only the negative aspects. And because that's really what you're doing with any food. There's something that you're focusing on, right, that you don't like. Well, if you can change that, then if you could change that, what you're noticing, then sometimes you can either allow someone to like a food they previously don't like, which is very useful with weight loss clients, because a lot of the times it's the foods that they like, and that they just don't like foods that are good for them. And you just change that association. Well, with cigarettes, you like the way smoking tastes. We can fix that. And it's the only time I'll ever actually do that. Well, no, that's not true. There was one other time I will use a possibly negative emotion, and that is for illness. If somebody has a very serious illness and they're getting hypnotherapy as a supplement to that treatment, I'll make them angry, because when you are enraged at this illness, when you are when the only option is to fight, that you are just angry at this thing inside of you, you'll do well. The anger is better than hopelessness idea. And I only do this with very serious illnesses, but there's something to be said about the will to fight and the anger needed to engage in that fight, because there's pain, because there's fear, And it's the two things I really suggest to fight at that point are anger and comedy. Like, be as furious as you can be at that thing that's affecting you, and be as happy as you can be at the world around you. It's really simple as that.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, I can see how we can go on for hours on all this. We're coming up on time limit here in a little bit. So one thing I would like for you to touch on is, I mean, let's use athletes as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You had touched on it a little bit earlier, but how do you have cue words or something like that before a performance to really set yourself up to perform?
So, how to explain an anchor? And with athletes, I tend to like to use songs, like, because there's a lot of association that we put behind the emotional message of music. So at that point, let's say I have them play a song in the background that represents the mindset that they want, be it aggression, be it focus, be whatever have you, be it calm. And during the session, we listen to this song, and I take them to this point of focus. I take them through imagery, through a guided experience, to see themselves as they wish to perform and be in the mental state that they wish to be in, because I can guide them to whatever that mental state is that they require. And because we are working without the filter, the critical filter, which exists between your conscious and subconscious mind, simply by the act of taking them to that place and reinforcing the association during the hypnotic portion, that song now becomes associated with that state that they need to be in. So they, before a game or a performance, when they're doing their initial just focusing for the moment, put in some headphones, listen to that song, maybe take you through a couple of exercises that I've taught you for breathing and focus, and allow your mind to go back in there. It's a lot of fun. I love anchors.
That's awesome. All right. Now, something else that you touched on, you were talking about the state of hypnosis right before you fall asleep and right when you wake up. Now, this wasn't something that I was educated on previously, but one of the things that I suggest to my clients, because I talk to them a lot about using visualization techniques, and one that I use is do it right before you fall asleep. Yeah. So thoughts on that?
That's the reason for morning and nightly affirmations. That's why they work. Because that is, you are in trance, and what you're suggesting is a wonderful thing to visualize in those moments what you want to achieve, because those become hypnotic suggestions. Those become alterations to your RAS, to your homeostasis. You are telling your subconscious what you will achieve, what you need it to focus on. And that's one of the things I've done my whole life that I didn't even realize what it was until I got the education that I did, because I am all about those visualizations, that imagery before bed, taking yourself through whatever little psychodrama that you want to. And for the longest time, I did it for entertainment, like just make up little stories in my head, stuff like that. And after I became a hypnotherapist, I came to realize that there's so much more potential to that if you make a practice of visualizing what you want to achieve, be it success, be it academic achievement, whatever have you, if you practice visualizing it and really forming that image in your head, because all hypnosis is a skill. This isn't a thing that just happens. It's a skill that you learn how to utilize in your life, tools to use, all of these things. And that visualization, that repeated visualization, is so vital to whatever it is you're wanting to achieve, because that's really, just view it as that's your programming. Those are the moments you have in time that you can program your subconscious. Because there's a funny fact about hypnosis, and that's all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I'm not doing anything. I'm not giving you anything. I don't have a superpower that I am bestowing trance upon you. I'm a guide. I know the language to use and the places to go, using the natural state in you to be able to affect change. And that's what I really stress to all of my clients whenever we really start seeing real success, real change, is I reinforce, this isn't me. I'm guiding you. I am holding your hand through this and showing you where to go. But everything that is happening right now is your head. I'm not giving you anything. I'm not doing anything. This success, this weight loss, this achievement, this whatever it is yours, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's all in your head, like I said.
With everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So one last thing I want to ask about, and this is a little off topic, but it's more of a curiosity thing. So you had mentioned, what people think of when they hear hypnosis or hypnotherapy or whatever. And you had mentioned when I click my fingers, you're going to cluck like a chicken. And you said, that's not real. Well, explain it.
First of all,
first of all, what's real, what's not? When I go to the county fair and I see someone getting hypnotized, what's
usually real. Stage hypnosis is real. The main skill of a sage hypnotist is learning how to pick out what's called a somnambulist. It's about 5-10% of the population. It is the most hypnotically suggestible subset.
Okay.
And stage hypnosis, and it's not all real. When you see someone going on Ellen and like waving their hand in front of a group of people and they all flop out, that's not real. Okay. But whenever you see someone like at the state fair or in Vegas, that's generally real. And like, I'm sure there's people out there that have been like, oh, I've seen someone cluck like a chicken on stage. Okay. Well, to that, I raise an interesting point. So there is something in human psychology referred to as social pain that says that the mental signal we receive from social rejection or awkwardness is the same as physical pain. So it literally hurts to be put in an awkward situation, especially in front of many people. So psychologically, if I have you on stage in front of a group of 5,000 people and I tell you when I snap my fingers, you will cluck like a chicken, you have a choice. You can either obey or you can face the awkward stares of 5,000 people. What are you going to pick? Most people will pick to cluck like a chicken.
Okay.
And it brings up an interesting point, because where does hypnosis start and like social obligation end, and vice versa? Like we were talking about before, hypnosis is just varying levels of consciousness. Okay. There is no switch. It's just the state we exist in various depths. We're always in the pool. Just how deep do we go? Right. So yeah, stage hypnosis is real, but I kind of hate it because Well, because of that misconception, because of that image, because hypnosis is such this powerful tool for change and for growth and for healing and all of these amazing things. And somebody's up on stage making someone sing an Elvis song with it. No. That's like, I don't know, a stripper utilizing an x-ray machine in her routine. It seems like a misappropriation of a medical tool. Like
right. Well,
so,
awesome.
yeah.
There is so much more we could talk about.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I could rant about this for way too long and have many times.
So for our listeners that want more, they want to know more, they want to follow you, share some of that information.
Well, the easiest way to kind of keep up with me is my website. I upload all of my interviews there. I keep a good amount of information there, and that is twinravens.org. I am also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those things. Twitter's not too active because I don't like it. But that is all at Twin Ravens Hypno. I'm thinking of starting a TikTok, just doing some basic lecturing and things like that. I do a lot of classes that I teach. So if there's anyone listening that has a school or a business that wants to learn more about how hypnosis integrates with whatever it is that you do, because that's what I do with my classes. I integrate them to whatever the needs are of those people. I do group sessions and one-on-one, of course. So whatever it is that you want to discuss with me, absolutely contact me. Website's the easiest way to contact me. If my email says I got a message from my website, I pay attention to it pretty quick. So that's the fastest and easiest way to get a hold of me.
And you were saying that like your one-on-ones, you do them remotely, you do them virtually.
Yes,
is that right?
yes.
Yeah.
I work fully remote. Even my classes, I do fully remote. This is my office as you see it, if you are able to watch right now. So it doesn't really matter where you are. Hypnosis and hypnotherapy is no less effective remote over this internet thing than it is in person. It's
Okay.
effectively the exact same. You will see the same results. So yeah.
Awesome. And I will have all the links and everything in the show notes, so you'll be able to connect. But thank you again, J. Robert Parker from Twin Raven Hypnotherapy and Research LLC. Appreciate you being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, some of you may know this, but in addition to my coaching, I've recently joined Geneva Financial Home Loans, a mortgage lender headquartered in Chandler, Arizona, as a mortgage loan originator. I've always had a passion for serving others, and now I'm proud to also be a part of Home Loans Powered by Humans. If you're in the state of Arizona and looking to take the next step in your journey, contact me at 801-830-3858 to start the conversation. NMLS number 42056, BK number 0910215, equal opportunity lender.
Hey, athletes and parents of athletes. So much time, money, and effort is put into the physical aspect of your sport to become the best you can be. But the mental game, it's often neglected, and it's just as important as the physical game. In fact, it's usually the differentiator between the good and the great athletes. Come and join me in the Confident Athlete program, where you'll learn to control your confidence, develop a powerful mindset, and unlock your full potential. Go to jeffheggie.com/confidentathlete to find out more. I look forward to seeing you there.